Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness, where we talk about real preparedness, not all the scary boogeyman stuff that all the doomer tubers come up with every day. Speaking of that, before we're going to be talking about fantasies today. Fantasies. And before anybody gets all excited, no, not those kind. I'm not going to change this channel over to that kind of stuff. I'm going to be talking about the kind of fantasies that preppers have, and are they good? Are they bad? Are they, constructive? Are they destructive? What are they? So we'll get to that in a second. But speaking of doomer tubers, I think I announced this over on the Patreon channel, but our new channel, DoomTube, is going to debut January 1. So that's not too far away. And why am I doing that? Because there is such an insatiable desire for people out there to hear all of the horrible things going on in the world. There's terms for it. Negativity bias being the very lowest of it. And even though there are some channels out there, so many channels out there doing that, they fall way short on a couple of things. First off, a lot of times they don't know exactly what they're talking about. They're just reading the latest headlines. And another is that they don't give any solutions, right? Uh, and of course, then they don't really flush it out. So if you want to get a little bit deeper into the doom stuff, okay, we'll go at it. So you can already check. There's nothing up on the channel yet. There's just kind of a blank screen. If you want to, go over and subscribe to it. Just look for DoomTube. I don't think I have I don't have the link posted down here yet. Probably won't do that. I don't know. We will see. So that's coming. Oh, and also, I'm going to talk about prepper fantasies, some of which include rebellion and resistance and things like that. And this evening, God willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to be doing a video on lessons of rebellion and resistance from the Irish Republican Army. And if you tune into that, there's a lot of people out there talking about things and they don't really know what they're talking about. There's been some books written out there, but I know the guys who have done it, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. And so if you watch it, you'll see why I waited until this evening to make it. Okay, let me have a sip here, and then we'll get started on prepper fantasies. I put butter in my coffee, as many of you know. It is delicious for anybody who hasn't tried it, and it's really a good part of the carnivore diet. Okay, if you look up the definition of fantasy, it'll say something to the effect of something pleasant that somebody will indulge in thinking about, but which they think they can never do or achieve or whatever like that. Okay. I think probably, a lot of things out there are fantasies. Now, the doomer tubers I was talking about, they go, and what the fantasy is, it says it's something pleasant. The doomer tubers are talking about unpleasant things. So that comes from paranoia. And those people who indulge in the prepper fantasy of, for instance, rebellion, resistance, everything like that, the thing is that the enjoyable part of that is that they always come out on top, right? And they're the one who's going to be the warlord, or they're going to be the one that somehow everything's fine. The whole world's going to heck in a handbasket, and like the cover of so many of these SHTF novels, they're leading their family, backpacks on their backs over the hill into the sunrise or sunset or whatever it is. Kind of like, what was the Sound of Music, right? Kind of like that. We're escaping and everything's good and everything's happy and all that. Somehow we have escaped into the new world. And I'm not saying that wouldn't happen in certain circumstances. As a matter of fact, the whole Stonemont series, my books, is based on that. If you haven't read them, I highly suggest you do. The links are down below. You can either get them from me or through Amazon. Get them through Amazon if you want them fast. If you want them signed, get them through me, but be prepared to wait, because I always sell out and then I got to wait for a new shipment. That's life. That's life, right? So if you want to develop your patience, order them from me. So people have this idea when it comes to preparedness that, well, I think the underlying idea among many who carry these fantasies is that it's never going to happen, or that they couldn't accomplish it. And so that's what I address, as I started to say, in the Stonemont series. And it's about a family who wasn't rich. Oh, we're going to see this this movie, Homestead, tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to go out there and see it too. I find it's an interesting, some people say, they ripped off your book. They ripped off the Stonemont series to make. No, I don't think so, because as I understand the story of Homestead, it's some rich guy, some rich ex-special ops guy who kind of, put together his own fortress on top of a mountain somewhere. And when there's a nuclear attack, all of the people, all of his family come and congregate at the place, and probably people attack him. I have no idea, but I'm looking forward to watching it. I hope that it's not the disappointment others like Amerigeddon and the Obama movie, End of the World, or whatever it was, that stupid movie. I hope it's not a disappointment. We will see. Okay. But at the lower level of this prepper fantasy is this idea that people will never be able to accomplish what it is they fantasize about. Okay. And just to finish my thought a minute ago, the Stonemont series is about a normal family, not a rich family, not a rich like this guy in Homestead. Just a normal family who, as a result of their kind of wanting to get a little bit outside the suburbs, not way out in the sticks, get out, and they lived a preparedness lifestyle. Not really, more than preparedness, but a self-sufficient lifestyle, a self-reliant lifestyle. That even though they continued to live, hooked into society until everything came crashing down, but they were able to continue to live well thereafter. And that's what I always talk about. The whole purpose of preparedness is so that you'll be able to continue to live a high quality life after whatever happens. Okay? All right? Hey, I just spent a gazillion dollars fixing up 2 of our vehicles. How was I able to do that? I was prepared to be able to do that, right? You've had the same situations. So the Stonemont series, the Stonemont story, is all about that. Normal people who are able to live out, essentially accomplish a fantasy. What is a fantasy in many people's minds? Now, I hear a lot of people that have commented on previous videos. No, nobody could ever do that. Nobody. I know a number of people who have. There's a lot of people who have done that. You see, the difference is, and here's the important part. The difference is that those people had a plan to reach a goal. Okay? And they worked that plan. And therefore, what in other people's minds is a fantasy was an accomplished goal as the result of work, effort, and time. Okay, so simple as that. Now, the negative thing about fantasizing is that it gives a person two false senses. The first sense is that they couldn't achieve it. And if you think you cannot achieve something, you won't, because you won't try. The second thing that it does is that it gives a person a false sense of accomplishment. Okay, having achieved it in a fantasy world gives you this idea, oh, wow, I somehow, it satisfies the need that the person feels deep down. I know we're getting psychological here, aren't we? It satisfies a deep need of the person to live this situation. That deep down they also know, or they believe, because they don't know, but they also believe or feel or think or whatever you want to say, is beyond their ability to accomplish. And so that just, it works together. It's a circle. It's just, well, I can't do it. I dream about it. I lay here and dream about it. And, it's like when you're a kid. I remember one Christmas when I still, I didn't believe in Santa Claus anymore, but my parents still put stuff out as well. I had a younger brother and sister, so they were doing it. I knew Santa Claus wasn't coming, but one night I wanted a mini bike really bad, and I couldn't decide. They only came in two colors, red and blue. I couldn't decide which color I wanted, and I lay in bed all night, Christmas Eve. Probably didn't fall asleep till 4 or 5 in the morning, and thinking about, just imagining there being a mini bike when I went out into the front room where my parents always said our front room looked like a Toy Story. It's a store every Christmas, which is why I believed in Santa Claus so long, because I knew my parents couldn't afford that stuff. And I laid there thinking about, which one do I hope it is, red or blue? Now, the reason that I stayed up thinking about this so much is because I knew there wasn't going to be a mini bike out there. I knew it. No way. And there wasn't. But see, because I knew that, I wanted to enjoy the fantasy of there being one for at least a couple of hours. And this is what too many preppers do. They fantasize about this. They fantasize about that. Later on, I earned my own money and bought a mini bike. Solution, right? But too many preppers fall into this idea of these fantasies. And like I said, fantasy is the good part. Paranoia and doomsday thinking is the other. Either everything's going to work out. I'm going to be the warlord. I'm going to be this, and probably most of those people are going to be, they're going to be taken up pretty soon, because the person like that is a person who doesn't really have the experience, in certain things in life and violence and all that to realize how many crazy things could be and how many other competent people are out there. That's why planning is so important. So, that either everything's going to be horrible, there's no reason, nobody can do that, or I'm going to be the warlord, and or I'm going to hike off into the sunset with our little backpacks on our backs like the Von Trapps, right? So my point in all of this is, and I suggest you watch the one tonight, or if I get around to doing it tonight, on and I put up a meme on the Patreon channel. By the way, if you're not with us on the Patreon channel, the link's right down below. It'll only cost you $1 a month. You'll be glad you did. It is the best. I've had people say it is the best group they've ever belonged to on the web, and I agree. But I put up a meme about what real resistance is for those of you who kind of go that way, And another thing, that I'm going to touch on this tonight. So much of this proper fantasy, I don't hear it much here anymore, because sometimes they get a little bit too wild, and I block them. And most people kind of know how I address things, and so I'm not the channel that these people come to anymore. It's the people about, we need to rise up and do something, and we need to do this, and we need to do that, and militia this and militia that, and when are we going to do something, and how much longer, these kind of people never do anything. They never do anything. They're living in a fantasy in which everything's going to work out. for them. And of course, just like those who fantasize about, having a stone mount of their own, which I know a number of people who do. They don't think they'll ever achieve that, so they remain stuck in their fantasy. And so that's another thing that I'll be talking about tonight, is that the difference between these people who, fantasy and wear the T-shirts and out of my cold dead hands, never intend to do anything, as opposed to lessons from some of the guys I know with the Irish Republican Army who actually did it. I think you all will find it very interesting. Okay. So anyway, I would suggest, reflect. What's your fantasy? And I don't mean that in any inappropriate way. What is your fantasy? And let me ask you this. Why haven't you turned it into a goal? The difference between a fantasy and a goal is the doing it. And the difference between the doing it and the not doing it is believing that you can do it. Right? Okay. All right. You all have a good day. I got a bunch to do today, and I hope you have a good one. And as I've said in the past, my new sign-off, sub-sign-off, Hago, Hago, have a good one. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.